Hello, everybody. I'm here today to talk about what I think of as a secret weapon to tackle anger and resentment. And you may think this is kind of a weird post, but I hope you will love it, and I hope you will see the benefit of it. What I'm going to talk about today is the dark side and how it impacts all of our lives. And you may know it as the enemy, the devil, just the constellation of negative energies in the universe, or whatever. There are many ways, the collective ego. There are many ways of talking about negative energy in the universe. And some people say, well, no, everything is in my control. I'm in charge of everything about how I feel, but it's just not true. And we all know that there are positive and negative energies in the universe. That's a scientific fact. And we're all aware of how kind of the divine energies, the light energy can help us, can impact us, can lift up our moods. Well, the same thing is true about the negative energies. I'm Helen Hillix, and I'm an intuitive counselor and spiritual coach. And I want to talk to you about this today because, it's been on my mind the last few days because I had a really interesting experience with it myself that I want to share with you. It doesn't make me look great, but it's reality. Even counselors are not all put together. We have our own struggles. So I want to tell you the story, and then we'll get back to the dark side, the negativity, and why it's so important to be aware of it. Because, we can only have secret weapons if we're aware of them, if we notice. So please let me know if you have any questions as we go along. We're talking about negative energy and how it affects us all. So here's my story. My husband has been doing an incredible amount of transformational work lately, and as have I. And he was in a kind of a funk for a few days. And we kept struggling to connect and struggling to figure out what was going on. And, I kept reacting to his negativity, and it just wasn't a pretty scene. And then it kind of blew up one night in that he repeated a pattern of something of hiding things from me that he thinks I won't like. And it reminded me of women who go clothes shopping and buy a bunch of new clothes and then sneak in the bags and put them in the closet. And then, when the husband says, is that new? And, oh, no, I've had that for a long time. So it's that kind of energy, and it's totally irritates me, triggers me. I really should say triggers me, because that is true that our reactions are our responsibility. And I noticed how triggered I was, how angry I was. And and disconnected I was feeling. And I just thought, I don't want to be like this. But I didn't know what to do about it in that moment, and just hit me like a bolt of lightning. And that's the weird part about it, is it hit me like a bolt of lightning, this insight. And this is where I believe, the spiritual guidance comes in, is that the spiritual guidance I was receiving with that bolt of lightning was, Helen, remember, there are negative energies in the universe that are impacting us, especially when we're vulnerable. We're vulnerable to those negative energies impacting us, the dark side impacting us. And I swear, the moment that thought came to me, all of the anger disappeared. All of my feelings of discouragement about, here we go again, this old pattern sneaking back in, all of that just disappeared. Completely disappeared, because I was able to embrace and open my heart to the idea that he was just being impacted by the dark side the last few days. He's made such huge strides, and it's like backlash, or somebody else I heard recently called it the rubber band effect. I mean, lots of people use that term to describe that, the 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. It's a universal experience. And when we are in that kind of regressive energy, the dark side is particularly able to dominate us because we don't feel strong. So that's the story. And I was so excited because I ran in and said to him, honey, I I think I know what was going on. It's that the dark side, the negative energies have been impacting you the last few days. It doesn't mean that all the great work that you've been doing isn't sticking and isn't real. It just means that, those negative energies are attacking you lately, and we're vulnerable, and me too. And we instantly reconnected. It was so exciting. And I just really wanted to share that with you, because I believe that most of the time we are not thinking in those terms. We're not able to zoom out and say, what else could be going on here? What else might be going on here? We are so prone to blaming him or her. And of course, this can happen in any kind of relationship. It doesn't have to be, a husband and wife. It can be any kind of connection. And it can be a connection with yourself. If you notice that you're feeling discouraged, as I do sometimes when I wake up, nobody wants to hear what I have to say, this isn't working, blah, blah, blah. That's my connection to myself, right? And my connection to higher power. And so when that is disrupted, oftentimes we don't think about the fact that the dark side is intentionally trying to block us from that oneness energy and from the evolution moving forward. So, again, you may think this is kind of woo-woo or whatever, and I originally heard about this idea in this particular way of conceptualizing it from Beth Green at the innerrevolution.org. And I know other people, like I said, religious people think about it as the enemy or the devil, or other people may think about it just as negative energies, period. But however you think about it, do think about it. And if you haven't ever thought about it, I want you to stop and think about it, because it really makes sense, because you can tell when something makes sense because you've experienced it. You've experienced that, where you wake up or in the middle of the night, you start thinking dark thoughts, negative things start coming. That's not just you. And when we allow for that reality, it just is such a relief. It's such a relief. And it doesn't mean, of course, that we're not responsible for what we do with that information. We are responsible. Even if the negativity is bigger than we are responsible then to do something about it, and that something about it is to connect deeply and then open our hearts to the, quote unquote, positive energy, to God, to the source, to whatever you think about higher consciousness, higher power, and let that energy guide you instead. So it is ultimately a choice, but don't fool yourself into thinking that there aren't forces out there that are, attacking you or impacting you. Let's just say that in a neutral way, that are impacting you. And if you realize this and you practice this, you will be amazed how it can dissipate anger and resentment between you and somebody else, or you and yourself, and just uplift you. So I'm so excited to have shared this with you today. I hope you'll use this and tell me about it. Tell me how it works for you. Again, I'm Helen Hillix, intuitive counselor and spiritual coach, and I will talk to you often with these words of wisdom and experiences that I've gathered in my 35 years as being an intuitive counselor and licensed therapist. So from my heart to yours is my motto, because I love you all, and I hope you have an awesome day, and I will talk to you soon.